Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I want to take a look at BigLinux. Wow, BigLinux is a Manjaro-based distro featuring the KDE-Plasma desktop, and this looks like a really interesting Arch-based distro, and it was brought to my attention by Bruno. I will just leave it at Bruno because I don't want to mess up your last name there. But Bruno, thanks so much. Bruno asked in his comment, do you know the BigLinux distribution? It also has a very distinctive KDE and many other interesting features. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to go take a look. And man, am I glad I did. So thanks so much there, Bruno. I appreciate that. Looks like it's going to be really interesting. So here at the website, you can see right off the bat that they have a beautiful web page. So a lot of effort has been put into this project. I can tell right off the bat just by looking at the website. Very well done, very professional, and starts right off showing a nice screenshot with BigLinux in the background, showing the minimum settings here of a 64-bit Intel or AMD compatible processor, 2 gigs of RAM, and 8 gigs of storage space. So that's pretty reasonable. And of course, recommended would be a 64-bit Intel or AMD processor, 4 gigs or more of memory, and 40 gigs of storage space or more. And I would say that is pretty accurate. And of course, the live version here has built-in drivers. In live mode, you can check out all the devices are working properly and so forth. And if not, try another version of the kernel because they have 3 versions of the Linux kernel available here. So they got kernel 5.10, which is typically recommended for older computers, maybe something pre-2011-ish or so. And then we got kernel 5.15, which is the recommended kernel for just pretty much all around, give or take. And then if you have something really new and pretty cutting edge, especially if you got like new NVIDIA video card or something like that in there, then you might want to look to kernel 5.19 to get that extra support for that card because it may not exist in an earlier kernel. So a newer kernel will help ensure that it supports your latest and greatest hardware, but it may not necessarily support something really old. So that's why it's nice to have these different choices where you can kind of revert back to a previous kernel if you have something that's an older machine or laptop that might be a better fit for, say, kernel 5.10 or 5.15. So with all that out of the way, did I say this was KDE-Plasma? Yes, it is. So this, like I said before, was based on Manjaro. It features the KDE-Plasma Desktop 5.25.5-1. So pretty latest and greatest there. And so I am just so curious to see what this is. I got to download it. So I'm going to run over here, and I think I'm going to pick kernel 5.19, not because I have the latest, greatest cutting edge hardware, but just because I like bigger numbers. So I'm going to click download here, load it in, and we'll check it out and see what it's like. Okay, and here I am at the BigLinux live boot screen and ready to boot in. And oh, I almost forgot to mention, I wanted to give a shout out to OBS background removal. This is a plugin here that I discovered, I think it was a year and a half ago maybe, and I was just kind of playing with it one day, and it just really, at the time, wasn't ready for prime time, but I kind of rediscovered it a couple days ago and decided to try it out again just to kind of see how the project was progressing. And wow, I gotta say that it is really impressive. It actually works quite well now. And well, of course, I don't know if anything can replace a good old-fashioned green screen. However, I just thought this impressed me enough as far as it has evolved that I thought that deserved kind of a shout out. So I'm kind of giving it a shout out by giving it a shout out and by using it as well. So if you noticed a little waviness around the outside of myself, that's why, because I am using this OBS background removal plugin for this video just to kind of give a proof of concept to other people that may use OBS Studio or Zoom or whatever that want to remove their background, that this is actually a pretty viable option, I think, now in most cases. And so with that out of the way, let's move on. I'm going to hit enter here, and then we'll just kind of boot in and see what this live environment is like. And whoa, look at that big logo. I really like the splash screen there. Really great job with that, with the branding. I like the animation, really well done. So yeah, I can tell right off the bat that these guys have really put a lot of work in it. And when I say guys, I mean guys or gals, whatever the case may be. And look at all this. You got all these languages. Wow. Just a ton of languages that you can choose from right off the bat, including Portuguese. This is a Brazilian distro, by the way. And so Portuguese, of course, would be a natural choice there. And look at this. This is cool. Choose a theme. So let's go with something. Let's go with that breeze. And then desktop. Cool. So we get to choose desktops. Classic, new, and modern have better performance. So wow, even as a Unity, that's cool. NextG, DeskX, modern for kind of a Mackie look or a deepened look. I'm going to go with this new though. I think that looks kind of cool. So let's see what happens. I think I'm going to boot into the live environment now. And if I do, then we'll have a live environment. There we go. Nice. So here's our KDE. And I'm just going to scooch up here a little bit so I'm not blocking the big menu thingy there. So wow, here's our background. And our menu. Menu's beautiful. I like that. It's got the semi-transparent look there. And really cool grid configuration. Control center, trash bin, nice, and our beautiful KDE panel. And here's our install system. I'm going to hit that, and let's see how easy that is to install. And wow, it actually gives you some options here. You can go with pattern, performance, and compatibility. Looks like performance is the most popular one. I would say compatibility is like for really old hardware, stuff like that. But they have the first two choices offer the Btrfs with F-Sync, which is great when you're using Snapper and so forth. And then the third choice is ext4 by default. I'm going to go with the kind of default choice there, the one in the middle. Well, that's the one that's highlighted. I think that's the best overall way to go. And it looks like our defaults are all good. Here's my keyboard. And so here, this actual machine has dual partitions on it. So instead of hitting erase disk, I'm going to hit manual partitioning because I want to save my home folder and actually reuse it. So I'm going to give it the same name as the original home folder. And so here I'm going to select our Linux partition. And so by doing this, what I want to do is I want to format the Linux partition, but I want to keep my home folder the way it is because the home folder, I kind of want to show you what to do if you have your home folder located on a separate partition already and you want to install a new Linux over it using the Calamares installer and you haven't done it before. So here, this is kind of, we'll show you a way to do it real quick. So first of all, on our Linux partition, which is a 65 gig partition, I'm going to click format because I would need to format over that. And then by default, it's an ext4, but I'm going to change that to a Btrfs since that was kind of recommended in the default. Works with the system restore. And then our mount point is going to be this slash, which represents the root. I'm going to hit OK there or close. I forgot what it said. And then this is our home folder. So our home folder, we don't want to hit format. We want to keep. So make sure that keep is selected if you don't want to lose all your home folder stuff. So there we go. So there's our home folder. And by the way, in my home folder, before I made the video, I went into the home folder on that drive and renamed the home folder. I just kind of backed it up to Toadwick-old. And so that way, if I want to bring over all the documents and things that I had stored in my old folder, the old settings from the old desktop won't interfere with my new home folder because it's going to create a new folder, and I'm going to give it the same name actually. But if you already have an existing home folder and you want to use the same name, then it's a good idea to rename your folder first using a file manager or whatever. So your home folder, if it's called Bob, then you want to rename Bob to Bob-old or something to that effect, just so it's different. That way, when you create a new home folder, which we're going to do in a couple steps here, and then when you type in Bob, or in my case, Toadwick, then it'll create a brand new fresh home folder. And then after you do the install, you can simply just copy your document files and pictures and videos and all that from your Bob-old folder and drag it over into the new one on your new home folder. And the reason I do that again is because this way my old home folder could have a bunch of settings in there from XFCE or something tailored to Fedora. And so yeah, that kind of messes up your theme when you boot into a new distro. So you want to make sure you just kind of have a fresh home folder that you can go into, and then you can just manually copy stuff over. And again, this is more for advanced users. Actually, if you've never done Linux before, then you might want to really be careful. Okay, so we're going to designate that as our home. So now we got /home there. So yes, that makes our mount point home, and we're going to keep it for sure. And now, last but not least, we want to go up to our FAT32 partition here, and then we want to select boot EFI here for our mount point. So I'm going to hit OK because I have a newer computer. If you have an old legacy, then just boot is all you would really need. So then I'm going to come up here and type in Toadwick as my username and then the password, and that should do it. I don't think I'll log in automatically, so I'm just going to hit next here, and then after I hit next, it should go to next, and it did. So here's a summary of everything we did, and I always like to double check this when I'm dealing with dual partitions to make sure that my home folder does not say that it's going to format it, and it doesn't. It just says it's going to set it up as a home. So that's good, and I'm good with that. And I'm going to let this run and just let it install. It shouldn't take too long, probably a few minutes. So I'm going to let that go and then pause the video, and I'll be right back when it's done. Okay, we're all done and everything went smooth. That didn't take too long. Seemed like about 5 or 7 minutes or so, give or take, but not long at all. So that was good. So I'm just going to hit done here, and then that way I'm going to shut down the computer and remove my thumb drive, and then we'll reboot into this baby. So I'll just go up here and hit shutdown, and I'll be right back right after I click this. Okay, I'm in the BigLinux screen here, and it looks like it installed. So we got our grub screen, and there's our logo, and that just looks so cool. I love that big splash there. That is neat. Just another sign of branding quality. So really well done. There's our login screen. Awesome. And beautiful login screen there. And just going to log in. And here we are. Wow. And so we have our welcome screen. We got a BigLinux welcome. And very beautiful there. And gorgeous desktop just like we saw in the live version. So here we are. We got themes, desktop settings, choose your avatar, language packs right off the bat, and then the choice of default browsers. Nice. So Brave is the default. If you want to switch to Firefox, you can just click that and it'll put the thing there. And then we got KDE Connect where you can hook up your phone. And that's really cool. You can see the QR codes there. It'll take you directly out to the App Store and let you install that. Nice. And then we have our drivers here. There's Big Driver Manager. That looks kind of interesting. So here it looks like you can install, if you have some special hardware you need to deal with, you can go in here and take your pick from all these different options that are available. So that's really cool, especially if you have something that's kind of funky, like a new NVIDIA video card that maybe didn't get detected by default, or a Wi-Fi driver, something to that effect. Even a printer. So that's cool. And here's Wi-Fi choices. So I like this. This is really cool that we have all these choices here. And then we got printer drivers. Wow. So we click on that. Check that out. Tons of printer drivers. So here we're looking at a bunch of Brother drivers. So if you got a Brother printer, wow, and it didn't detect it by default in your print utility, then you can choose the drivers right here and just hit that install and get those. And looks like there's gazillion Brothers there. Wow, and then we got Canon. Nice. So all kinds of Canon drivers to choose from, and CN filter, whatever that is. Cups drivers, Dell, Epson. Man, so tons of printer support in here that you got right off the bat. So that really makes it easy if you have kind of an obscure printer. Lexmark and Konica, I think we have in there. Wow. Kyocera, Ricoh, Xerox, Phaser. Hey, there's an oldie but goodie. Cool. Xerox Work Center. So tons of things. Man, that is impressive. I really like that. So printers, that is a really handy utility. I really like that. Nice. And so if I went over here, speaking of printers, let's go to settings and go in the control center, and let's actually install a printer. That's something I haven't done in a while, maybe ever. So if I go in here, oh, it even has HP printers right there. So if I scroll down a little farther, there's a generic printer icon, but I have an HP printer, so it's not finding a printer yet. So I need to pause for a second and plug it in. Okay, I got it plugged in. So now, there it is. It's showing up, I think. Let me just refresh this. So I'm going to go here to this part here and hit this refresh all. And there it is. Found it just like that. Nice. All right, so there we go. That's how easy it is to install a supported printer, especially if you have an HP, which is unnatural for Linux. So cool. We got that installed. And I'm just going to teleport over here, and you can see that it says print test page or configure. So it did find the device, no problem. I'm just going to hit that. So glad to see that confirmation. And there's my printer, the HP Color DeskJet. So printer installation is just easy peasy, and it should be that easy pretty much with just about any other brand there, especially that you would find that's supported, of course, with Linux. And as you could see in that window there was a lot in that window. So that's the printer part. Nice. Then we have our panel down here, and I can just open up LibreOffice because I want to just see that our printer is going to show up here in an application. Here it's got a bunch of messages showing our version, but I just want to go up here to File and then Print and make sure we got it. And there it is. There's our HP Color LaserJet MFP A4279 or 8 or whatever it was. So yes, excellent. So now we have printer support. What else do we got here? Let me click on this, and here's access to our control center, Big Store. That must be a package manager. OCR for PDF, nice. And System Voice, cool. So let's hit a Big Store. Let's see what that is. Yeah, that is a package manager. Wow. So I guess it's maybe a big branded version of GNOME software. And you can see that Flatpak AUR and natives are all activated by default. Nice. And then we got all our categories here: multimedia, games, system, development. Wow. A lot of choices. I like RetroArch. That's a cool emulator. Action Arcade category. That's kind of mine. Let's go under development. Nice, look at that. So we got VS Code in there, Genie, all these cool things related to development, stuff I like, nerdy things. And then if I scroll down a little bit here under a multimedia, there's online radio. That looks kind of cool. Let's see what they got in here. Nice. So nice radio apps here. And there's Radio Tray, NG. Cool. I want to look at that. That's a nice radio app there. That kind of sits down in your system tray. That's one reason I like that, is because you can have it right down in your tray, and it's a really cool app. So I might even just kind of install that maybe. You can also install it here. You don't have to go in and look at the details if you want, but it'll take you back in there if you hit that. So I'm going to just hit the install button, and then let's install this and check it out, see what it's like. And these are all the dependencies and stuff that it's going to install, so I'm good with that. And I'm just going to authenticate here, hit OK, and we'll let this download and do its thing. Okay, and we're all done. So let me hit close here, and that should have installed it. Nice. So that is the Radio Tray app. And then under here, under graphics, and we'll check out that radio app in a little bit. But Here we got like IPTV players. That's kind of cool. There's Hypnotics. That's a really cool app. That's something that's native to Linux Mint, I believe. Then we got YouTube Downloader GUI. That's a nice app too. Let's go with Hypnotics. And I'll just kind of install that just for fun, just because it's there. Because I saw it and I like it. So we'll just let this download and it's installed. So very cool. We got Hypnotics in there. And also here we got Flatpak packages. These are our settings here. So Flatpaks are turned on, snaps are disabled, but you got the option, which is great. And then your update repos and so forth are all right in here. You can also force update and update the keys and everything right from this back end. So very handy, really cool. I like it. Like it a lot. And I like the fact that they give you the snap option too. So I think snaps are okay. Although I don't really use them on Arch because you have access to everything anyway. So the big software center, let's do a search and see how that works. So let's do OBS Studio, and there we go. And as you can see, this is version 27 because we are in Manjaro, and as of the time of this video, Manjaro has not updated to 28. And so I would definitely go with the 27 version because if you install 28 on here, you'll probably have issues right now because it's probably not going to be compatible with the Qt 6 framework. So you want to keep that in mind. Just go with the version 27 and wait for the Manjaro updates to update, which will take a couple weeks. Or if you really know what you're doing, you can just change your Manjaro branch to unstable. And of course, Manjaro shows you how to do that on their website. But that's for advanced users. And then once you're converted over to unstable, you can go to 28 if you really need it. But otherwise, just stay with stable. What the heck? And Manjaro unstable, by the way, is just pretty much mainline Arch stable. So it's not really that unstable. It's just mainline Arch, basically. So yes, just had to throw that little tidbit in there. So let's scroll over and see what we got here. So this is our donation and social networks area. So here you can make a donation to the project, which is really worthwhile. I would totally recommend that. Forum, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram. Wow. Very nice. So what a great welcome app that is. Well done, you guys. Big kudos to the team there. For sure. And so let's go here into the control center, and I noticed that was kind of wobbling there. So wobbly windows is enabled by default. Cool. I like it. Here's our themes and desktop settings. So let's take a look at that a little closer. I'm going to hit this, and this is in our control center. And here is what we saw when we were like installing here. And this is pretty cool. So we got Breeze Dark, Fluent Solid Dark, and Materia. Nice. For me, I think the Breeze is kind of my favorite there, but this is cool too. We got all these different desktop styles to choose from, and I really like that. Even though New is really kind of, I think, what I really like the best, that's more suited to me, my personal taste. Let's check out some of this other stuff. Like if I hit classic, like here we got our menu, and we got this grid style menu and the semi-transparency. I wonder if that's in the classic as well. I bet it changes. So here it's saying that it's going to restart the session, which is okay. I don't really have anything open anyway. And now we got our classic panel here with the labels alongside our icons, and we got our window previews. And if we come over here, we can see a more simplified menu here. So we kind of have our very classic traditional Windows 7/XP style menu, probably more like a Windows 7 menu, and our favorites on the side there. So that's cool, a classic look. Let's see what Unity looks like. So I'm going to hit yes again to let it restart the session. And really quick too, it transforms just like that. Check it out. We got our top bar here and our Unity bar on the side. Wow, this is great. This is like having Unity without the Unity. Very cool. So here's our Kate file editor, which is one of the best file editors out there, I think, just for doing text files and even scripting. You know, it's really a great all-around editor. So we got all our apps here and our trash bin on the bottom. So if you got any rubbish laying around, just throw it in there. And here we got the grid style menu that we had in the new up here on top. So looking great. And that beautiful transparency again. And here we got our panel items, which we have in the new as well, like our speaker settings, our clipboard, our HP printer drivers. Since we have a printer installed, now it's going to be up there. Here's our desktop, and so that takes us to our desktop selector. Then our most recent device, microphone, networks. So when we click on that, you can see that we're on a wired network, but then we got all these wireless ones hanging out in the neighborhood, all waiting to be hacked. And then our hidden icons. Cool. So lots to choose from there, and our extras. And then, of course, our clock and our gorgeous KDE calendar and our stopwatch. Very nice. And our months that we can choose from. If we got reminders, we can pop them in there and see our holidays as well. So that's really quite gorgeous. Let's see what Next G is, since he switched so easy. And there we go. Cool. So now we got this bottom panel. And so if we go in here, we got access to our main menu right from here. And it's really quite gorgeous looking. It kind of looks like fashion mode. We're using Latte Dock for this. So that's cool. So Latte Dock probably uses a little bit more resources. That's probably why they were recommending before for performance to use classic, new, or modern. So nice. So now let's take a look at DeskX. And so DeskX is kind of like DeskX is kind of like Next G, except it's a little bit different style here. So it's got nice animation. The icons kind of swell as you go over them. Very cool. Kind of Mac-like. So this is really beautiful if you like the Mac-like look and feel. And even our window buttons are over on the left-hand side on our open windows. So that is really nice. Very Mac-like. So there you go if you want the Mac type look. And I believe that's a global menu on top as well. So here I'm going to just change this back to our new. And by the way, here it says desktop confirmation. I'm switching back to new now, where I was before. And it's given me the option to save any changes that I had modified in my new configuration. So when I had the new desktop open, if I would have done some customization on those panels, I have the option of saving those. And I think that's really cool, because a lot of times I see where you have these different theme switchers. If you switch a theme, if you customize anything before, like adding some widgets or whatever, then they all disappear and you're starting over again if you go to something else and then come back. Here they're giving you that option, which I really like. So if I hit restore, it'll just restore what I did, all my changes, even though I didn't do any yet. But if I would have, it's nice to know I can do that. And if I didn't want to keep those changes, then all I'd have to do is hit original, and then it would just give me a fresh new version. So that is very cool. I'll just hit restore just because. So if I hit restore, then any changes I would make will remain. Click, and yes, I'm good with that. It's going to restart the session. It's that typical message. So there we go, back to the new. And if I would have made any modifications in the past, like adding a weather widget or something to this, it would still be there, and that's nice to know. Yeah, so I'll quit harping on that. So now let's go to down to our panel, and notice how there's no window previews here in our icon-only taskbar. So I want window previews, so I'm going to right-click here and select Configure Icons Only Taskbar. And if I go up here and select Show Tooltips, then that will show us our window preview. I hit Apply, and there you go, window previews. So I like having the window previews there, but I also like the Icons Only Taskbar. So I'm just going to kind of go with that. So I like that. And so if you like window previews, that's how you can turn them on. And if you don't like them, that's how you can turn them off. So there we go. All right. And so if we go over to our settings, here we got like performance mode, and this will turn off all your compositing so you don't have any more of your special effects. So if you're low on resources and you got to conserve, you can turn on performance mode, and that'll take care of that. Browser acceleration, so you can turn that on if you like to play games in your browsers and so forth. That'll make your browser faster when it comes to the GPU, so that's pretty cool. Here we got some default programs in memory that you can have activated, turn on and off. Then we got all these other cool things that you can toggle on and off. You can invert your mouse scrolling so it's like a Mac, or Windows button on the left side like we had in our Mac theme. So that is cool, just by a flick of a toggle, and then we can turn it back off and they're back on the right side. Nice. And all these other good things. And block desktop editing, so that's on by default. So if I was going to go in here and like configure something on the desktop, then it says that the layout changes have been restricted by the system admin. So if you're like setting up users, multiple users on a computer, and you want to restrict somebody's usage and they're a standard user, you can turn this on for that user, and then they'll have to have admin privileges to mess around with your desktop. So that's really cool. I like that. And I'm going to authenticate here, and that turned off the block desktop editing. So, because I don't really need that on, but it's nice to know that feature's there. That's cool. And then here we got restore the program config. So that's kind of going along with our ButterFS and Snapper stuff. Very nice. Add remove users. Nice feature there. So we can go in here and give myself an avatar. And I might as well do that. And I happen to have a picture file that I can choose from. So by selecting that choose file, I can click on this guy and then go over here to home, and I forgot where I put it. I think it's in pictures. I'm going to go click in here, and there it is. So I'm just going to hit open and then authenticate. And then if I click on this, I think it'll just kind of appear, maybe. Let's go back in. There it is. Okay. So I guess I just had to back out and go back in to refresh it. So nice. So now if I were to log out or just hit lock screen, probably be easier. There it is. So yay, we got in our login picture. Nice. So that is our user settings. And that was Daisy, by the way. So don't tell Luigi, he'll be mad. Then we have monitor and screen display configuration. So here's where you can set your display size, resolution, and all that. Screen edges, night color, and then of course our printers, which is where we were before, where you can select your printer and install. And then we got our sound and microphone settings, output devices, playback. Beautiful. And next up, our customize area. So here we got our more typical KDE customization settings, like our application style. If you like to have a different style in your buttons and backgrounds on your windows, progress bars, and all that, there you can change your style. I like the default, so I kind of stay with those typically. And then your auto start, so if you want to take something out of your startup, you can do that there or add to it. And there's our boot splash monitor. So if you want to put in some kind of boot splash when you log in, you can do that there. Here's our desktop effects. So this is where we got our wobbly windows and all that, but it was already enabled by default. And then our compositor settings, if you can turn it on and off there, and that turns your effects. And so down here we got our tons of effects to choose from. And of course the main ones I like are the wobbly windows, and they also got the blur on there too. But see, there's nice wobble, and then there's our magic lamp. So if I were to activate that and hit apply and then minimize, it just kind of swoops down and back up, magic lamp style. So that's a nice effect too, very cool. So kind of one of my favorite effects, one of my favorite settings areas, I guess, is in here. You can just kind of play and waste all kinds of resources and time, but it's fun. And then here we got our icons, so you can add in, change your icon themes here, or you can get some new ones off the internet just by clicking the Get New Icons button, and that'll let you download new ones. So if I click on this guy, we can like find something. There's a Windows 11 icon theme. That's kind of cool. And we can go up here and we can actually sort by, instead of by recent, which is the default, we can go with show highest rating first, and then that gives you the most popular ones you can look at. And so we had our suite and our beauty line. There's Tela, Flattery, which is a pretty decent icon theme. Reversal, that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen that one before. I think I'll just install it for fun and see what it looks like, and just kind of make that a little bigger. So yeah, cool. These are all the components, so I might as well just choose one here. We got green and gray and orange. I'm going to go with the orange, see what that's like. And there we go. So I'm going to hit use there, and that should have changed it. Wow, there you go, right off the bat. These icons are kind of rounded looking, so it's got a pretty modern look there, and it changed all our icons in here, and they look really great. So I can see why it has a high rating. Very nice. So those are our icons. Very good. So then we go over here. Let's open our Dolphin file manager. We'll slide it over there, and yeah, I like those icons. Beautiful orange there. Really cool. So just a nice look, very shiny, and so we'll OK out of there. And there's our login screen settings, so you can modify your login screen there. Theme and desktop settings, that's where we were before, changing all this stuff around. Just a gazillion things. And then we got our about. So if we go into our info center here, we can see all our stuff about our system, KDE framework, Plasma version, hardware. So running the Intel processor, and our computer name, so forth. Very good. And devices. And here we got our iPhone settings, PCI, USB devices, just a plethora of things. So let's open our console here. Just gonna bring up that real quick, KRunner, and then let's type in HTOP. And there it is. Okay, so we're running about 1.26 gigs of resources, memory, on here, which is kind of par for the course, given that I got stuff open and I've been doing a lot of things. I think you get a better reading at idle. Let's take a look at Neofetch. So here we got beautiful Neofetch. I like that big logo, and the color scheme and everything is really great. So really nice. I'm liking that a lot. Beautiful. Console is set up really nice in that theming. And then of course we got our apps over here. So if we go in our main menu, here we got our favorites, and then our games. Lots of cool games there. Graphics. Wow. And then internet, we got our Firefox, remote desktop, Brave, QBitTorrent, multimedia. There's our Radio Tray app. Let's just take a look at that real quick. So we got Radio Tray NG, and then the bookmark editor. I guess that's what I was over the first time. And so let's click on that and just kind of see Radio Tray and check it out. So wow, sliding over here so we can see our options. But man, got all our categories: jazz, Latin, classic, rock, oldies, chili, country. Wow, very cool. And yeah, I can't really play any of this music because the YouTube algorithm will probably give me some kind of copyright strike. But there's classic rock, which is cool, and hopefully we'll play.
I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay.
And then continuing on down here, we got like our web apps. So these are cool. Lots of neat stuff here. Amazon Music, BigLinux forum, Clever PDF, nice. Instagram, Facebook, music, Messenger, OpenStreetMap, nice. Odyssey, lots of things to choose from, both open and proprietary. Then there's Spotify, Skype, Prime Video, wow. TuneIn Radio, WhatsApp, Yahoo Mail. Let's see what TuneIn Radio is, since we were playing around with radios. Cool. So we got a bunch of radio stations to choose from here too. Wow. And national world news. We probably want to go, as we want to test it, we probably want to go with something that's more talky, because that way I don't get the copyright strike thing. So yeah, but the only thing I see talky is just a lot of news stuff, which doesn't look overly interesting. Top packets, stations in your area. Wow. So great stuff. New and emerging broadcasters, popular broadcasts. What do you want to listen to? Nice. Looks like they even have a premium option here. Cool. So what happens if I go up here and search? Actually, I got an idea. Wow, Jeopardy Radio Classic. So what if I want to search? I think I have an idea here. When I was a kid, I used to listen to something called Mystery Theater. Cool. That's probably, it is on here. Wow, I can't believe it. So there's Radio Mystery Theater. Wow, that is too cool.
Yes, Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. To flee vice is the beginning of virtue, and to rid oneself of folly is the beginning of... It's because your halo is on too tight. Our mystery drama, Jerry the Convincer, was written...
Wow, that's just so cool. Man, I used to listen to that all the time when I was a kid with my radio at night, and some of those would scare the crap out of me. And the narrator, E.G. Marshall, was really just too cool. And I think they used the same background music from The Twilight Zone. That was awesome. So, really great stuff. I like that. And so then we got web apps, all our Google apps in there. That's cool. And then, of course, our power strip here with all the shutdown, switch user, log out, save session, and all those other options. So much to choose from. So when they say BigLinux, they're not kidding. It is big. Whoa. So let's go back in here and take a look at the wallpaper. See what choices we got. We haven't done that yet. And lots of beautiful wallpapers. Huh. Boo. Looks more like a yak. Kind of reminds me of what my dad always used to say. Hiya, yak. Yeah. The old Swedish heritage there, I guess. But nice. Check this one out. Hit apply. Whoa. Almost similar to my home planet, except the moon doesn't look anything like that. And it's not that huge. Whoa. And we have more color, too. Not so gray. So, yeah, I guess it's not that much of a resemblance. And what's this one? Wow, that one is gorgeous. Oh, I love that background. That could be a keeper. That might be the winner. Nice. I'll go with that. That's a beautiful, serene scene with great colors. And we got it set up just the way I like it, I think. Got our window previews there. Very cool. And the background just showed up really nice. So definitely a winner there. And then we got our mouse actions, our location. These typically I go with defaults. Columns we got set by default, which is nice. KDE tends to put them in rows like this by default, but I'm kind of a traditionalist. I like the columns, so I like that they're already set that way by default, and that is cool. So I would go with that and probably wouldn't change it. Here you can adjust your icon size, so if you need them huge, then you can make them huge, or you can make them really tiny. However you like, but I think the default is just great. And then you can set your text lines, your tooltips, and all that. Nothing there I would really change at all. And then your sorting here, you can sort by name, size, type, and all that. And then you can lock your icons in place. So if you don't want people moving your icons around, or you don't want them to switch around because of an update, that should keep them in place there. So there you go. They just all kind of snap back where they're supposed to. And then you can turn it off if you want to be able to move them around again. So we'll just apply that, and there we are. Nice. So that's adjusting the wallpaper, and that looks really beautiful. I just love the background here. And I guess I'll just kind of move this stuff back over here for aesthetics. I think that Neofetch is really quite gorgeous, actually. I'm just going to kind of shrink that down, close it, and then bring this over and give you my 2 cents. So wow, when they said BigLinux, they weren't kidding. It is big. It feels big. Big is good. And BigLinux here is a definite winner for me. I really love this. This is so cool. With BigLinux, you get the stability of Manjaro with the coolness of BigLinux. and all these desktop themes. That really just kind of struck me right there. I just love the fact that you just can so easily switch to a bunch of preset desktop themes like the Unity and the Desk X. That's hard to pronounce. And the New Style Classic and the other stuff that I forgot. But there's like at least 6 desktops there that you can just instantly change to. And I love the fact that they give you the option to restore your tweaks. If you tweak one of those desktops, then you don't have to worry about losing it if you just want to switch to something else because you're bored. I think that's really over the top. That was something I totally didn't expect, because I'm not even sure if I've ever seen that before, where you could kind of keep that around. So huge thumbs up for that feature even alone. And then the nice radio features installed by default. Tons of choices to choose from on your apps and printer drivers. I can't say enough good things about this. So this is absolutely a big recommendation, especially if you want something that's really done for you, a very simple Arch, and you still want the stability of Manjaro. You can have Manjaro on steroids with BigLinux. So a fantastic distro. This is something, a big shout to the team there on BigLinux. These people are really fantastic. They've done a wonderful job. And also a big thank you to Bruno for pointing this out to me. This is a great discovery because I haven't seen BigLinux before, and so this is just a wonderful discovery and definitely something I'm adding to my repertoire of good stuff. Is that even a word? Anyway, so there you have it. I really enjoyed doing this review here. This was just so much fun, and I discovered so many cool things, and I probably not even noticed a ton of other things waiting to be discovered that I probably missed. But that's okay. That's the magic of Linux. You get to go in and explore and discover. So there you go. Double thumbs up for BigLinux. And I hope this review was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to hit that thumbs up again. And then don't forget, hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.